I knew we could be big. Turning over 15 million, one product, direct to consumer.
Wow.
Valued at 42 million.
What?
I do have this ability to get people to really believe in me. I wanted to be challenged on every penny we spent, and that's why I went for investment. I'm a risk taker beyond belief. I just don't fear fee. I put in £249,000 in the first year and a half of my business.
Wow.
I remortgaged my house. First batch had to be thrown away because I didn't sell it in time. I had to make it work. I see a positive in everything. I do think it comes with age. I think it comes with experience. You're the one with the power. Never forget that.
There are so many underestimated women.
Be the difference. Be the change. Stand up and be counted. Because it ain't going to change unless you do that, right? And that's what I did. Every single woman that's gone before me to make my journey possible, I will not let down.
Welcome to Strategy and Tragedy, the show all about how to scale and fail in business. My name is Stephanie Melodia, and it is my genuine pleasure to interview some incredible entrepreneurs here, and today's guest is no exception. Just before I welcome her, I want to say a big thank you to you listening in at home, on your commute, while you're pottering about, or maybe even at the gym. I know that there are so many other podcasts out there, so it really means the world to me that you're listening in right now. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes. Okay. Now that's out of the way, on to my next guest. Maxine Laceby is the collagen queen and co-founder of Absolute Collagen, which you may have seen turning our red London buses bright yellow for a stint, injecting some much needed sunshine into our grey city here. They've sold 53 million doses in the UK to date, and Maxine stands as an exemplary pro-age entrepreneur. Maxine, what a pleasure to have you on the show with us today.
Whoop whoop. Whoever Maxine is, I like her.
I love that. I feel like my guests always feel very happy after that fantastic intro. But it's all true. You are amazing. You said it yourself minutes ago. You're friggin' amazing. And we're hearing all the stories about why that is. But first of all, take us back to that kitchen table in 2015.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I'd embarked on a fine art degree at university, and one of my projects was Dare to Go Bare, where I stripped myself of makeup, let my hair go grey, and just wanted to see, as a woman of a certain age, would I disappear in people's vision. Made me realise how I thought about myself so badly, really. And I started looking at myself as a whole. And one of the first things I did was I started looking at what I was putting in my body. And so I started making and drinking my own bone broth. And from that, we discovered collagen. It was a very, very long story. It's a 2-year story, actually, which I won't bore you with the details. And so, we created the formula in our kitchen, Absolute Collagen. And here we are today. It's been a crazy 7 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I totally
73 team members, 30 point something million turnover this year. I mean,
Wild. What a wild ride.
it is.
What would the Maxine of today, sat here across from me, tell the Maxine of 7 years ago in that kitchen making this bone broth? Would you believe a word of what you've just described there?
Do you know, it's really interesting. I'm ADHD. I'm batshit crazy. And I think most ADHD people are foot to the accelerator kind of person. And so I just always went at things. I cannot walk across an empty room without getting inspired. You know, I see opportunities everywhere. So I was always doing something. So I never really thought that far ahead, to be honest with you. I just got on with the job in hand and got on with it. I knew I had something in me. Absolutely knew there was something. And I think I've always known that since I was a teenager, to be honest with you.
And what's interesting with you saying you had that pure self-belief, I wonder, you know, we're in that kitchen table with the bone broth, you discover collagen. I'm always fascinated how entrepreneurs have experienced either a personal pain point or they've stumbled on a discovery like this, and then how that transforms into this hugely successful business. So how much of that do you think that was kind of sheer belief, will, the energy, everything that you've got to make it happen versus product market fit, right time, right place, maybe a combination of all the above?
I think an absolute combination of the above. We created the liquid collagen market. It didn't exist before we came. But if I go back to my childhood, my brother would say we had quite a terrible childhood. I would say I learnt resilience. And I mean, he's 5 years older. He had a different point of view from me. I was left on my own a lot. counsellor's kid, alcoholic mother, all those sorts of things. But what I didn't realise at the time is what I was learning. I was learning to get on with stuff. I was learning to turn the dial in constantly, because I was the only one that could make things happen for me. There was no one else to do it. And I was the outcast as well. My mum was the black sheep of the family, probably because she was an alcoholic. And so we were the black sheep of the council estate. But that does build resilience, because you just got to get on with it, right? I knew I was different, or our family was different. I think I might have said before, I'm adopted, and I always felt like the owl in the nest. Like, as soon as I opened my mouth, nobody got me. They go, what did she just say? And I think a lot of it is nature, not nurture, I knew I was loved. I knew beyond doubt my mother loved me. And I knew she struggled with life. And so we had this kind of like connection where we were really, really there for each other. She relied on me a lot, and that was okay. And I think all that did come to fruition, to be honest with you. And I do work with the Prince's Trust. And when I talk to the young enterprise people, I just say, some of you might have a really tough time at home, but you're learning stuff that might feel painful right now.
The importance of perspective comes to mind for me.
But it hurts at the time, though.
For sure. Absolutely hurts. And, this podcast has almost been a fantastic research project in a way. I've been, especially where the person sat across from me is really the only variable. I'm in the same studio, I'm in the same space, similar-ish kind of questions and stories. So, the pattern is so great, the brain is so great at pattern recognition. And that's something I've definitely known. I love to prioritize diversity of the guests on the show, and no matter age, race, background, gender, it's the narrative that you choose for yourself. So I'm picking up on that with you as well. It could be so easy for anyone else to assume victimhood, I guess, and let the alcoholic mum, the ADHD diagnosis, the growing up on a council estate be, I guess, part of their identity and be like, no, okay, it's not for me. And then maybe develop kind of a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not for me, it's
Definitely.
not for them. Whereas you have that kind of perspective, and you actually have that healthy mindset of actually, these are all the lessons that I've learned from that. So resilience was one of them. Any others that you want to touch on here?
I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I do not fear fear. Never have done.
Do you have any fears at all? Phobias?
I have fears of something happening to my children. That's like, I think
Quite
every
rational.
mother has that. I don't fear if something is really, shit happens, right? Life is life. And I've had nothing terrible happen to me in the sense of, I've had no one very close to me pass away at young age, and that I think is painful. I've had stuff go on, but I just don't fear fear. You just got to get on with it. Your cards are dealt, and sometimes you do your own cards, and you just get on with it. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think building the business has been a brilliant thing. I really do not fear fear.
I think that's incredibly interesting, and I reckon the fear of the fear is always worse than the actual thing, right? It's always worse what we're building up in our minds, the anxiety, the build up to things. It's amazing that you don't have that. What advice could you give to someone asking for a friend who does suffer?
What's the worst that could happen? And I think nowadays particularly, everything gets blown out of proportion. Like, there's basic human conditions that are basic human anxiety. When I say I don't fear fear, I don't just get gripped by it. I just get on with it. It's really bizarre. And I do think that's probably my childhood, I guess. But my piece of advice would be, everybody feels stuff, right? You're not special. You're not feeling stuff other people doesn't feel, And it's a basic human condition. And I think we've blown that all out of proportion.
I love that you say that, because I feel like in those moments we do feel like the only
Absolutely.
ones who are feeling those horrible
and
things.
And that's okay, because it's your reality, right? And actually things pass, what you feel on one day. So I get crap days, of course I do. I'm a bit tired, and I'll just think, I'll go to bed early, I'll watch some rubbish on TV, have a read, go to bed, and wake up a different person, It's okay.
This too shall pass, right?
Yeah, you cannot be like on this constant level, and life gives you ups and downs, so you're able to experience different stuff.
I love that. And I'm already thinking about future Steph that's going to be so grateful for listening back into your words.
Aww.
And hopefully these are some words of comfort for some of the listeners who are tuning in right now. Just on this as well, just holding this thought for a quick second, the other thing that comes up to mind here is, especially as women, nullify, validate. I think as you saying about, sometimes we have low moments, high moments. We also have cycles, different phases of our lives as well. We kind of, we assume what seems like more emotions. We feel all these things to greater extremes, it sometimes seems, compared to our male counterparts. So is there kind of something there that you can speak to, or?
Yeah, so I have this theory that women have many, many stages in their life, and I'm sure men do too, but I can only talk from a woman's point of view. My first stage was when I was 7. I realised I was a girl and I wanted to be a boy because boys had a better life than girls. Absolutely. I would do all the housework on a Saturday and the washing and ironing. Oh, bloody twin tub, I hated it. All while serving my brother breakfast in bed. So I knew quite early on that boys in my environment had a better life. That was the first stage. Then it's you're frigid if you don't want sex. You're a prude if you're frigid if you don't want sex. You're a tart if you do want sex, and you have periods, and it's just like it's ongoing. And I just think women have so many different stages, but what it does, it prepares us, and we just get on with it. And again, everybody's level's different. I've never had really, really bad period pains. Yes, I've had period pains, and I know some women are really gripped by them, headaches and stuff like that, and the mood swings, but it just prepares us. I see a positive in everything. I can turn any negative into a positive. Bit weird, but I can.
I love that. I feel like we should maybe put that to the test.
Do it.
Fantastic. All right, so let's get back into Absolute Collagen. So we're still there at your kitchen table. Yeah. How did you then go about validating whether there was enough of a demand there to launch this out as a business? You just go for it, put it to the test. How did it go from bone broth to creating a whole new category of liquid collagen?
I had no validation. The only the validation I had
was in yourself.
Was me and my friends. In fact, I met up some friends on Sunday, and I was feeding them 7 years ago this stuff. Just come to me, and I made them all sign a disclaimer, and they signed it. Hilarious. And I'd phone them up every week, and I'd get their feedback. That was my validation. It worked. It worked on me and it worked on my friends. So why would it not work on other women? And there was no market. There were skin supplements. They were very expensive and in big bottles and needed to take a lot of them. But there was nothing that was just collagen. And I knew the collagen was the key ingredient. And so there wasn't a category. So we launched it. And my point of reference was I knew it worked. It worked on me and my friends.
So you had that belief in the product efficacy of this.
It's a bit weird, actually, and I don't know if this is part of ADHD, but I can really believe in something, like, really, if I believe in something, boy, do I. And I think that is, like, we go in 105% and we are so focused. And that is what happened.
This is what I'm wondering. This is where there's always this debate around you're finding that product market fit. To your point, you did have the product efficacy. It did work. You trialed it on other friends and things. But then I do totally get what you're saying as well there, where like if you believe in something, like you'll find a way to make it happen, or at least it will energize you enough to pick yourself up 12 times instead of 8 times, right?
And to get shit done.
Yeah.
Because I was the only person that was going to do it. So I had to get it done. There was no one to rely on. I had nobody at all. So I just had to get it done. And there's a great strength in that, actually. But also what comes with that is the risk that, I remember I knew within the first year it was going to cost quite a lot of money to create a market. I put in £249,000 in the first year and a half of my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
May I ask where that money came from?
I remortgaged my house.
Wow.
Yeah, and I said to my children, right, I want to do this. I really believe in it. And it wasn't like, it was like, marketing that doesn't come in every month. You're spending on marketing every month, it goes up and it doesn't come in straight away. My first batch had to be thrown away because I didn't sell it in time. There was lots of things that happened, and I sat the children down because they were my only concern, was Darcy and Margot. Nobody else didn't care about anyone else. You know, my parents had both passed away. I was divorced. The only people I cared about was Darcy and Margot. And I said to them, right, I want to put some money into the business. I can remortgage the house. What do you think? And they said, well, what happens if it doesn't work? And I said, well, we sell this house and we buy maybe a smaller one. And they were like, oh, okay. You can sell anything to kids, can't you? I mean, they were young adults at the time. But I do have this ability to get people to really believe in me. It's very, very bizarre.
So we touched on resilience, obviously a key ingredient in entrepreneurship. And what we're touching on here now is also risk tolerance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many people, especially, you know, my world is more in the tech sort of space. I've interviewed amazing tech entrepreneurs. And in that world, you've got such an automatic connection with VC, venture capital, as external investors. It's almost like you're not even thought it through. It's just like, cool, schmooze the investors and get their money. So it is quite rare to sit down with someone who's got that level of risk tolerance to remortgage their house for this. So you said before you don't fear.
No.
Were you just kind of like, I believe in myself, the product is great, this is going to work, we're going to make it happen?
Yeah. And I don't think I had any choice. The project, it was just unfolding in front of me, and I had to make it work. I had to do it.
Yeah.
There was nobody else. I'm a risk taker beyond belief.
Amazing.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Which is why I went for investment, actually, eventually.
Okay.
To put some risk in, because, you know, we'll go on to that. But, you know, when you're a bigger team, when you've got responsibilities, a risk taker can be too risky sometimes. So I wanted to be challenged on every penny we spent, and that's why I went for investment.
Interesting.
And that's okay too. I like to, I love being challenged.
So the exact reason that would be so off-putting to most entrepreneurs, I don't want investors breathing down my neck, quarterly
100%.
Updates, was actually what you wanted.
It was the absolutely number one reason. We didn't need money. We hadn't, Absolute Collagen was doing really well. I think we're turning over to about 15 million at the time. And I said to the team, there was 4 key players, me, Darcy, Brad, and Rich, who's Darcy's partner. Right, what do you guys want? This is no longer about me. And they said, we want to take the business forward. I said, that's fine. We've got this money in the bank because we didn't take big wages. Maybe foolishly, I don't know. But we had this money, and we've got all these absoluters that we are responsible for, and we've got a team that we're responsible for, and every team member has a family. That is where that's where I become responsible, actually. When it comes to other people, I'm like, right, that's when I can really rein it in. This is no longer about me. It's about I want to be challenged on every single pound I spend. That's why I went for investment.
Wow, how fascinating. It's interesting. It does
I
make
needed
sense.
it though.
Yeah.
Because I'm a risk taker, remember?
Yeah.
So I really know myself very, very well. And I think that comes with, sounds really patronizing, but I do think it comes with age. I think it comes with experience. And, you know, would I have done the same thing at 30? Absolutely bloody not. You know, so I'm a risk taker when it comes to me, but when it comes to people I'm responsible for, I really think a lot.
That makes sense. This is where the mother nature kind of comes from, mother instinct. Okay, I love that. So getting investment as a direct to consumer, you know, physical kind of product brand, was this private equity? What was the process? Did you Google some people, reach out to them?
Yeah, so I kind of had a feeling that I knew we could be big. I knew we were growing really, really fast, and I was like, right.
Can I just check in this? So sorry to jump in. You mentioned, on the growth trajectory. So you mentioned before 15 million turnover. So at which point, how many years in were you?
So this was 2020. So we officially launched in May 2017.
Yeah.
So we finalised investment in 20. So at the beginning of 20, I decided to go for investment, and we secured it at the end of 2020.
So it was only within a few years. Yeah. You transformed liquid collagen from bone broth in your kitchen into a 15 million turnover business.
One product, direct to consumer.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't think ever knew how brilliant we'd done, because for me, we were just getting on with the job in hand, right? We had our heads in our laptops, bang, 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 bang. That's all we were doing. We didn't even look up. And yeah, we just got on with the job in hand. And I think I know something we've always, integrity is really, really important to me, because that's the thing, you see. And I think that's why I've got no fear. Because if you're doing everything properly, if you do everything with integrity, you've got nothing to fear.
Nothing to be afraid of.
So we never cut corners.
Yeah, I love that.
Every night we hit the pillows and our heads hit the pillow, and we knew we'd done the right thing every single turn of the business.
Wow,
so
incredible.
That when you operate like that, you've got nothing to fear.
Yeah, I love that. Incredible. Okay, so you're on this incredible rocket ship trajectory, going out for investment. So where did you turn?
So I'd spoken to a few investors, London and Birmingham. Our business is based in Birmingham, and something about them I didn't like. I was like, not sure about you. And I'm a bloody good judge of character. And I do, again, is it a misplaced childhood? Is it age? But my intuition has never been wrong. I'm so good at it. And I can read people, and I can feel people. We're talking about energy.
Yeah.
You can if you've got that, you get it, right?
Are you into psychometrics at all? Sorry, again, to just jump in, like Myers-Briggs,
yeah,
ENTJ
definitely,
type stuff.
yeah, 100%. You know, and so I'd met them and thought, no, you're not the people for me. And so I then got introduced to Atlanta, an investment banker, and they kissed all the frogs for us. So they went out, and we paid them a fee, and they said, we'll go to, they operate in the consumer food space. Collagen's a food supplement, and beauty they operate in. And got on really well with them. And they went out and found some investors, because obviously they know who's looking and who's not. So I felt they kissed all the frogs for us, guided us. I mean, it's hard work. It's hard. 10 months of due diligence where you're having every single thing about your business checked. Yes. And it takes the main players away from the business as well. So it's not for the faint-hearted.
How did you divvy that up between yourself, Darcy?
Maxine didn't do much. I'm really good at going out and getting. And then, and actually, this is probably my biggest skill. I know I'm not good at, and I'm not good at loads of stuff, and I'm okay with that. I just put people in that are bloody brilliant at what they do. Yeah. So it was Brad, who was tech, Darcy was ops, Rich was finance. They did it all.
Yeah. And I guess a lesson here for some is, I mean, I do often advise founders, if you're going for that, if you're going through that investment process, then like go big, because you don't want to repeat that process too far down the line.
No, you don't actually. Well, it was interesting, because one of the frogs that I kissed in Birmingham valued my business then at 5 million, and I knew it was worth more than that. It was valued at 42 million.
What?
So he was definitely trying it on. But to a lot of people, 5 million, oh my God, that's, so you've got to, you've got to really look into it. And I say to anybody, you should be looking at investment on day one of your business, because you should make sure everything's right. Don't cut corners. Make sure you do things right, because that stupid little thing that you've cut corner could stop an investor investing in you. So there was 10 months of due diligence. At the end, we had 3 offers on the table. We didn't go with the one that offered the most money, because it was never about the money. We didn't go with the one that would grow us the fastest, because it was a journey for all of us to enjoy. We went with the one that had the investor that I felt had the most EQ. Absolute Collagen was built on emotional intelligence, EQ, no doubt about it. And that definitely comes from me. And I needed to know I could look that investor in the eye and have really crap conversations, and they were going to be honest with me. And we, that was end of 2020. We're now 24. We've got a great relationship.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
really
so
good.
pleased for you, Maxine. That's wonderful. Founders, budding entrepreneurs, I need to give a quick shout out to a friend of mine who's building something epic, I think, that you'll want to check out. Ash Phillips, founder of Rebellious Co., runs Rebel Meetups, an IRL community for the unreasonably ambitious. I love that term. These events are totally free to attend and a great way to meet people, build your personal brand, and grow your own opportunities while helping others. Head over to rebelmeetups.com to RSVP to an event near you. That's rebelmeetups.com, and maybe see you at an event soon. I think it's really interesting as well how much that shifts the power dynamic in the whole kind of founder-investor relationship too, because they're the ones with the money more often than not. People are looking for that capital.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the mindset. But what I always say, because I get lots of founders come to me, I invest in female founder brands. I get lots of founders come to me. You're the one with the power. They have a portfolio. They want to invest. They have this money. They have to invest to keep people happy, right? You're the one with the power. They want you. Never forget that.
Yeah.
Never go with your tail between your legs. You go in, not with attitude either. But, you know, what you've built's bloody hard work. We all know that. Yeah. And actually, they want a bit of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my God, I love this, Maxine. I feel like you're getting me all pumped up as well now. Give me an investor. I want to go and pitch to them. I don't have a business, but I love that. Ultimate hype woman, you are. Queen Collagen. So, on the subject of power, how did it feel for you to let go of the reins, so to speak, or at least step away from the steering wheel to hand over Absolute Collagen to a CEO? Because you brought in an external to then lead the business.
I get asked that question a lot, actually. And it was something that when, as I said before, I know what I'm not good at. I know what I enjoy as well. And we always do the thing, we're good at the things we enjoy, right? And sitting down looking at spreadsheets, flipping out, you know, absolutely not. My mind, my ADHD brain goes on looking at a spreadsheet. I'm like, oh my God, I have to really. I was looking on the train on the way up actually, and that's fine. I've trained myself to. It was no big deal for me. I don't have. I'm not a powerful person. I don't have to be in power. It's not about that. And you know, I'm really, really happy for somebody to do it who's better than me. And when we first started speaking about investment, when the team said we want to go forward, I said that's fine, but I don't want to be CEO going forward. I don't want those crap conversations. I'm the fun, right? I don't want to be delivering the hard stuff to the team that you do this and why haven't you done that? And you know, we're on a meeting today, I'm looking at the CEO thinking, great, I'm glad she's doing that. You know what I mean? So I don't need to keep hold of the reins. And I listened to somebody, one of our competitors actually, in a conference about a year or so ago, and he said, I always employ, you know, I never employ anybody better than me. And I'm like, whoa, wow. Yeah, I always employ people that are far superior. And we're all different though, Steph. It's what works for you. We're all different.
Yeah, I love that. And on the self-awareness piece, I read that you used the line, you know, not another underestimated woman. So would love to dive into that. So I want to try and move away from the typical questions that you often get asked. So what did you mean by that phrase exactly?
So my email sign off, Maxine Laceby, another underestimated woman. Now, what I will caveat with that is I possibly underestimated myself. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, right? I knew I was capable, but was I really? You know, I think a lot of women feel that. I know I can do it, but can I really? You know, so, and I do see, you know, when I started the business, you know, I was 50. I had no business experience, hadn't worked since I was 25.
Wow. I
happily gave up work to look after my stepchildren. Then we had children, my ex-husband and I had Darcy and Margot. I had no experience. Darcy was fresh out of uni. I'd created this formula in my kitchen and was about to feed it to the general public via direct to consumer, which nobody was really direct to consumer then. Yeah, I get that nobody believed in me, right? But
where did that confidence come from for you?
I don't know if it was a confidence or... So, yes, I was underestimated, but you have to prove yourself, don't you? You know, no one will believe in you unless you've proven it. And I guess you have to prove yourself to yourself too. So I get that people didn't believe in me. I get that, right? And then you prove you do it, and then they believe in you. But there's still so many women out there that are underestimated. And I remember going in 2019 to a conference, and there was all these women with business degrees, and, you know, hey, I would never be able to do a business degree, right? Don't think I could. And I respect that. No one wanted to know me because I had no experience. And I kind of got looked down on a bit, you know, and that really peed me off. I think looking back, it peed me off. At the time, I just got on with it. Got a job to do, get on with it. Because that's what women do, right? We just get on with the job in hand. And it wasn't until I was like turning over 10 million that people went, oh, Maxine. And there was something I just thought, see, part of me gets really annoyed with that. But the other part of me goes, well, you've got to prove yourself because there's so much noise out there.
I get it, yeah.
So you do have to prove yourself a little bit. So I kind of get it as well, but it's a little bit annoying.
There is that dichotomy. I totally get it. So that's really interesting. So on that shift on 10 million turnover, successful in air quotes entrepreneur, what did you notice in the shift from people? Can you remember any specific instances where you were like, oh, you wouldn't have said that to me in a room a few years ago?
I suppose the initial, what's the word? The initial being noticed came from the Absoluters. And that was lovely.
Oh, that's so nice.
That was so lovely. I remember being on Oxford Street and we just won a CW award, which is the beauty award. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember walking up Oxford Street in 2019 and this woman going, oh my God, Maxine, I'm an absoluter. So the recognition came from them first. And that just felt beautiful. And then, you know, the bank finally took my call when I was turning over 10 million. Don't even start me on that one. Because I didn't borrow money. You know, I self-funded. And I think you have to go through those things. You can't demand respect without earning it. And we all grow with the journey, don't we? You know, I'm a different person than what I was, you know, when I first started. And I always say to people, whenever I'm mentoring or speaking to people, I always say, you know, if you've got a Shopify store, we all start with one ping. Ping. You know, and
I was going to ask you, actually, do you remember where your first ping came from?
Yeah,
for Absolute Collagen?
definitely. Yeah.
What was it?
It was Winnie Gooch was her name, and she's still a customer today.
That's amazing.
I love her. I've been to see her.
Shout out to Winnie Gooch.
Woo!
Oh my
Love
God,
it. I know.
Amazing. Do you know how she found you?
Oh, it would have been social media.
Just through social media.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so the recognition came from the consumer first. And that's all I ever wanted. I didn't care about anything else.
Maxine, I mean, I'm loving everything you're saying, but that in particular as well, just to underscore, we so often talk about the investors, the backing, the prayers, like the customers.
Absolutely.
Like, how often do we overlook the product, something that's working for them, getting that advocacy? I love that. The other thing I need to highlight as well, obviously you're bang on the money. There are so many underestimated women and of a certain age as well. You know, so it's going back to your art project too, about you get past a point and you disappear. And I don't even think, you know, you need to be that old. A friend actually said to me, "Why?" She was like, "Steph, how old are you exactly?" She had my birthday, and she was like, like guys used to turn their heads and look at me when I walked down the street, and like I've suddenly overnight become invisible." So I really love this really interesting, meaty part in this conversation here, where you've got, it's unfair, it's annoying, gets you down, it's not right. But at the same time, I do get that logical part that comes in, which is like, well, you've got to earn that respect too.
I think so. You know, when it comes to, there's two things there, isn't there? Walking down the street. I'm walking down the street with Darcy and Margot. Ain't no one looking at me, girl. I'm telling you now. And I'm okay with that.
One or two, maybe.
I'm okay with that. I don't get my kicks out of that anymore. And I think I can only talk for myself. I am really unusual in the sense of I don't fear aging. I care about my weight more than what I look like, actually. My weight is probably the thing that I go up and down the scales, 2 stone up, 2 stone down. But what I look like aging, really not bothered. I won't say I don't care because that's flippant. But you know what? I've earned every single line I've got, right? So there's that. And then there is the, you know, yes, I'm, you know, I got a £30 million business. I couldn't have coped with the things that I cope with now, like 7 years ago. So you grow with the business. And that's, I remember going to Woman of the Year in Birmingham, again, 2019. And I remember looking at some of the women there thinking, oh my God, look at those. Oh my God, oh my God. I was invited last year to be the headline speaker, but I'd earned that. I could not have done that in 2019. So I'd earned that journey. And I don't know how that sounds, but you can't be in a place of authority without the war wounds, without the scars, without the learning, and for me, that's what it's all about. And I'm still learning. We're all learning on the job, right?
Yeah. And I apply that to business success. So whether it's personally that belief in yourself or even the belief in the business, I had another really interesting conversation. Actually, shout out to Ranbir Arora, another fantastic guest who I had the pleasure of interviewing. And he was talking about, the formula for entrepreneurship is resilience plus the vision, and then like 90% delusion or along those. It's like you need to be somewhat deluded to remortgage your house, risk your, the roof over your head, do all these things. But there has to be that value. There has to be those data points. There has to be those first pings, or there has to be something that proves it to yourself. I just think the problem here, I know we're getting into this really nuanced grey territory, but I think the problem is that women in particular, women of certain backgrounds, races, abilities, ages, perhaps need a lot more of those proof points than perhaps the male pale and stale, classic counterpart. So it's the classic, women apply for a job if they meet 100% of the criteria, men only if it's 70 or whatever. So is there anything you can speak to on that? Any advice that you could possibly give other women in their 40s, 50s, 60s who are seeing all these kind of Forbes 30 under 30 lists, all these young whippersnappers, especially in our age of technology? Is there something there you can speak to kind of boost their confidence to go for it?
Absolutely. Be the difference. Be the change. Stand up and be counted. Because it ain't going to change unless you do that, right? And that's what I did. I think women are very humble. I think it's beautiful. I think we need to update script. And I'm talking about myself as well. Absolute Collagen is quite a humble business. We've had to update our script too. And I do think women are humble, but you need to be that change. If you want to see the change, you need to be the change. And I always say, people say to me, who inspired you from history? Every single woman that's gone before me to make my journey possible, I will not let down. And I will be the change. Absolutely.
I love that. It's so powerful, Maxine. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, right?
Of course we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Oh dear, that was really powerful. I need to take a moment. My mind actually just very quickly flickered back to all the incredible men and women in history who have helped us get to where we're sat
there was
tonight.
a lovely woman, Artemilius Gentileschi. She was an artist, and she worked. Oh, she's beautiful. You would know her painting. She was the first woman that ever painted. She was sat on a sofa, and there was 3 men ogling her from the 13th century, and she was the first time that any woman had ever gone like that. And she marketed herself. She was the first. I love what she did. She had no money, so she borrowed clothes and she hired a maid to make her look real expensive. And she'd walk past all the expensive houses so that people go, "Who's that woman?" She had it going on.
I love that.
There's so many women like that, and I love it. So how can we let them down?
Oh, I love that. I need to Google her afterwards. She sounds amazing.
Amazing.
I love that. Okay. We are very sadly coming to the end of our session, but I do know that there's a really meaty story with my traditional closing question. Just before I ask you it, Maxine, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners before I start wrapping things up?
Nope.
All right, let's dive in. I love it. All right. One tragedy that's taught you an unforgettable lesson, Maxine.
Yeah, so the tragedy for me was divorce. So I chose to get divorced. I knew we'd fallen out of love. We'd fallen out of respect. We didn't respect each other anymore. And the tragedy was I knew it would break my children's heart. They were 9 and 11, and I knew it would break their heart. And it did break their heart. The thing that's come for that is, whilst I was married, my ex-husband was the breadwinner. Most people thought I was pretty incapable because he did everything. What I've realised is I'm freaking unbelievably capable. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah and a woman to that, Maxine. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been a genuine pleasure. I know how busy you are, so I'm very, very grateful to sit down with you here today. But I think it is incredibly important to share your story, to have this incredible representation, being the change. So I'm incredibly thankful to you, Maxine. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me. I've enjoyed my time with you.
Great. Thank you so much for listening as well. So thank you for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button. I hope that you've enjoyed this fantastic conversation with Maxine Laceby, and hopefully see you next time.